I've been on 3 trips to Scotland with Haversham and Baker. I had the privilege of being the first group that Sam put together 19 years ago to go. We had 16 guys from our country club, and we had a fabulous time.
We've been to Scotland 4 times, and I've been to Ireland twice, and I've been to England twice.
So we went to Ireland in '04 and Scotland in '06.
I have been on 5 trips with Haversham and Baker, 3 times to Scotland, once to Ireland, and once to England.
I've had 3 trips, twice to Scotland, once to Ireland.
We were 6 couples to Wales, and then we had a family trip of 4, our 2 sons, with Leon and his wife and 3 other couples to Ireland, and then 1 trip before that with also 5 couples.
We've arranged a trip again with Haversham and Baker for next May that will include 7 members along with our local golf professional.
Well, the first thing, we get into the size of the group and the makeup of the group. And is it all guys, couples trips? Are there tourists versus golfers? Would be one of the first areas that we start at. And then getting into what country they would like to travel to. And then kind of going over the golf courses that they would like to play. And kind of talking with them about how many rounds of golf that they would like to play. Are they going to play every day, or are they going to take some days off?
The efforts they go to understand the golfers that are going on the trip. The type of group, is it men and women, and also what are their desires and interests? Do they want to do nothing but golf? Do they want to get some good meals along the way? Do they want to visit something? But they do a very good job of understanding the golfer's needs and interests, and then when they make a proposal to put a trip together, it has very well matched, because they know what those interests are with what's available there and what they put together.
But looking at the courses, I mean, they all could have been a top 100 course. I mean, they were all outstanding courses.
Without a doubt, Royal County Down, best golf course I've ever played. It's just
one of the hardest.
One of the hardest. It's just great golf course.
Castle Stewart is something that if you're in the northern Scotland, you got to really consider doing. We have a phenomenon which I think is referred to as infinity greens, where the green looks like it's sitting out in the water. It looks like it's floating in the bay. And when you're up in the fairway looking down on it, it looks like an island green when it's actually not. You get up to it and there's water around it, but it may be 50 yards away.
We played a course no one's ever heard of. It's called the Lundin Links. And it's a warm-up, it's not, I shouldn't say warm-up, it's a qualifier for the British Open. A great golf course.
Something about Turnberry is just, I almost don't know how to explain it.
It was the smaller courses, the North Berwick and some others that we love.
If you're a bunch of guys who thinks your idea of going overseas is to play 36 holes of golf every day, and you really don't care where you eat, and you don't care where you sleep, and you're going to get up and do it the next day, as I refer to these guys, they not only don't smell the roses, they never even see them. You don't need us.
To make it part of the good life, he knows things you may want to do or things you might heard about that, Larry, that's really not worth the time to go over and spend time doing that.
The manor houses we stayed in, the food, the way we were treated, exquisite. You couldn't have picked any places better than the ones we stayed in. I don't think it's a great coincidence that the areas that H&B hosts and travels to are also prime whiskey distilling areas.
And the other thing is, the connections that Haversham and Baker have has been invaluable to us, because we don't have to search around for a restaurant or the best sports pub or the best golf or whatever it is. Not only do they know where they are, the people that run them and own them know the guy who's touring us.
Where we go, we got to have 5 tee times. We go to restaurants, which is a little bit difficult for us to do, but a piece of cake for our driver. He knows where they can accommodate it. He calls a couple of days ahead of time and makes sure we get what we need, whether it's tee times or restaurant.
We're done with our round. Not only we're not picking up our golf clubs, the driver is, and we're not getting into our own car to have to deal with directions and driving on the wrong side of the street, but getting on this Greyhound-sized bus for 8 guys, stocked with food and beer and pop and all of that, and just being able to relax, and we're not doing any of the driving. We're playing gin rummy, we're telling jokes, and that time and again was the essence of, God, this is great.
I actually was in England in school in the 70s, so I was well prepared not to try to drive over there. So it's just so much easier. Everything's taken care of, and there's never an issue of getting lost or any kind of issue like that can come up. It just makes it so much easier.
I mean, we had dinner with our driver every day. We had breakfast with our driver every day. And that's just the quality of the guys that he has.
My favorite thing about the coach, or the coaches, is all the seats are basically like a first class ticket on an airplane going over. And the driver has the bar and the little mini fridge, as he calls it, stocked with your favorite beverage, whatever that may be. Yeah. So you can sit back, have a cocktail, enjoy the countryside while somebody drives you around.
You don't think of them as your driver as much as you think of them as a valet, and they become a friend. They just, there isn't anything they won't do for you. They're just terrific.
Not only are they wonderful, interesting, fun to be with, but my goodness, they can unravel things.
8 straight days of that. How do you measure that? I mean,
what's that? Golf. They were golfers. And so you wanted to talk to them, you wanted to get the history, you wanted to hear their experiences of playing the courses you were going to play. And it really made a difference. I think we still exchange Christmas cards with our driver from Scotland, and that was 4 years ago.
I've recommended Haversham to all my friends. A few of them's gone over on other companies or booked it themselves. And about half of them, when they go with somebody else, half the guys in the group say, I wish we'd listened to you. Because there was been times where the caddies didn't show up, they didn't have caddies, and it was some older gentlemen who couldn't carry the club, so they had to wait around, missed a couple tee times.
I had the opportunity to be invited by another group who had already planned the trip with a different agent. And I can say for a fact that the difference was tremendous. They knew very little. They were hardworking people, but they did not have the experience, so it was a very disappointing trip for me.
That's just not the same experience when you're buying into a trip that's handled by a firm like Haversham & Baker.
Really lined it up one for one. We found the cost differential was not great, certainly not enough to make the difference in getting what we were paying for when we chose to go with Sam.
Going on the trip, if you think you can do a better job than the recognized expert, because it ain't about the money, it's about the class of the deal.
Life has its own rewards, and I think for most people who are taking these trips for the overall experience of being there, sometimes it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. You don't want to cut corners.
The kind of service that you get, and they're on call. Someone's on call 24/7. So why ruin a trip for a couple $100?
I couldn't recommend to anyone contemplating a trip overseas, especially in the British Isles, to play in England, Scotland, Wales, or Ireland. I couldn't give a higher recommendation to an organization to put it together for you.